Kakadosh Boker or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf 16a1. We were speaking about yesterday a Mishnah, where the Mishnah was talking about different types of tams and mu'ads. And now Rabbi Lazar Nishmed Rabbi Amar, Rabbi Lazar in the name of Rabbi comes and he wants to say as the following. Kula Rabbi Tarfon. Our entire Mishnah is the Shita of Rabbi Tarfon. Reisha, the first part of the Mishnah, which is talking about Keren, Tam, that we said that you're going to pay Chetzi Nezek, and on Shem Beregel, you're going to pay Nezek Shalem. We're not talking about the Chatzer of the Nizak, which means the Chatzer of the damagee, which he does not have permission to go into, but rather it's the Chatzer HaMiyuchedet Leperot Le'achamim. Yeah, he comes and he says, this is a Chatzer which is Miyuchad for fruits, which means, remember that we said that somebody could come in for fruits and they both have permission to go in to collect their fruits. Lezeh v'lezeh, v'lishvarim, and for shvarim, which means now we're going to see the legabe shen havi lechatzer nizak. To do the shen, it's considered chatzer nizak. Why? Only the nizak has reshut to place there the fruits, and therefore the balashon, which is nezik, is going to pay nezek shalem. But to do with keren, to do with the nezek of keren, it's considered like the reshut Rabbi, because since there's reshut, right? Since there's going to be permission for both of them to go in with the shvarim, so therefore it's only going to pay chatzi nezek, right? And therefore, even according to the bitarfon, the mazik is going to pay only chatzi nezek. But the seifa, which is talking about the shor and the mazik, right, which we're talking about reshut nizak, so therefore he's going to be a muad, which is going to pay nezek shalem, and that's how he's going to come and answer up the stira. When do you pay chatzi nezek and when do you pay nezek shalem? Okay, fine. Amar Rav Kahana, says Rav Kahana, Amrita lishmate, I said the shmua, kamed Rav Zvi Narda, in front of Rav Zvi from Narda. The Amar told me, Mimatit mukmala kulak rebitafon. Can you actually say that our entire Mishnah is in accordance to the Shita of Rabbi Tarfon? Haktani, we already learned. Hashem whether lecholet rawila, right? Rawila and rawila no. Shen, you remember we always said Shen is the eating. The eating is always muad, mitchilata, from the beginning. But it's going to be muad from the beginning only for something which is normal to eat, which is ra'uila. But if it's not going to be ra'uila, for example, let's say the animal starts eating clothing. Even an animal doesn't eat clothing, right? Or a kelim starts eating utensils. An animal will want to eat food, not this. So he says, we don't say this. No. So says the Gemara, and therefore, for sure to do with this achila, which is different. So it's considered chatzer reshut nizak. So he comes and he says, which means it's considered the chatzer of the one which is being damaged. So he says, Rabbi Tarfon. Now, if you're going to tell me this is the shita of Rabbi Tarfon, ha'amar, he already says, mishune keren b'chatzer nizak, shenezek mishalem, right? Nezek shalem mishalem. He says, do you know that according to Shitat Rabbi Tarfon, he wants to say that keren is different in the property of the damagee. Because if I take my shore into your property, and my shore and your property will come and damage, what's it going to pay? Nezek shalem. Why? What's it doing in your property? What's going on? Okay, fine. Ela barad le'olam be'emet it's rabbanan. This is going into accordance to the shita of the rabbis, Rabbanan, and not like Rabbi Tarfon. The chasur emet, and really we're lacking part of it, and this is the way that you have to teach our Mishnah. So therefore, our Mishnah has to read as follows: Chamisha tamim hen. Now, if you guys take the Mishnah, go back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah said Chamisha tamim v'chamisha muadim. Right? We said there were 5 tams and 5 muads. Yeah. So here it says Chamisha tamim hen. There's going to be 5 different types of nezek of keren and the toladot, which is whether it's going to be goring, which is the nigicha, nigifa, the bullying, right? I call it bullying. It's actually a pun. Mind the pun, bullying. It's a bull and it's bullying, right? He's pushing with his body. The shicha biting with the mitzah. He's jumping on the utensils or b'ita or kicking the utensils. Ve'im muadu. So says the Gemara, if right now he became a muad, which means that they came and they gave a warning and it became a muad after 3 times, right? They're all kamishtan, they become muadim, right? Which means Our Mishnah is not talking about five times and then 5 muads. It's 5 times which become 5 muads. How do they become 5 muads? If they do these things 3 times and they get warnings, so therefore it becomes 5 muads. V'shem v'regel, no shem v'regel. Muadim mitchilatan are going to be muad from the beginning. V'hechal ha'adatan. Now when do they become muad? V'chatzar ha'nizak, in the chatzar ha'nizak, right? Which means a shor muad to do a shem v'regel is only when it's the shor mazik yishut ha'nizak, which means my shor in your property. That you could tell me, what are you doing in my property? That's it's going to be muad from the beginning. And therefore it comes out according to this pirush. We're not talking about keren at all. We're talking about really b'me'et v'regel. And if so, this has nothing to do with machloket, the bitarfon and chachamim, whether you need keren in chatzer and izak or not. Because we're not talking about keren. We're talking about 5 different types of tams, right? Which are basically going to be the toladot of the keren, right? Whether it's going to be or the keren in itself. And then if they become muad, they become muad, so that the 5 tams become muad after getting the warning 3 times, right? And after doing it 3 times. And then you have shem v'regel, that they're going to be muad from the beginning. And therefore, when do they so nobody's, this is not a machlok between the bitafon or the banan, whether it's going to be b'shut ha'nizak or not b'shut ha'nizak, with keren. We're not talking about keren, we're talking about shem v'regel. Okay? Fine. So now says the Gemara, Matkif la Ravina. Ravina comes and he's going to ask the following question. Haktani lekaman. We already learned this later on. We learned later on, we learned Shora Mazik B'Shut HaNizak Ketzad. How does it happen in the case where you have Shora Mazik B'Shut HaNizak? What's the case exactly? If you're going to tell me now we're talking about Shora Mazik B'Shut HaNizak and we're talking about Keren, so Mishum Ha'Ketzad, that's why we learned Ketzad. What's the case? If you're going to tell me now we're not talking about Keren, so what does it mean Ketzad? What's the case? The case is like, what's the case? Well, what's the case? It's very simple. We're not talking about keren. We're talking about shacharegel. But rather Ravina comes and he says, you're right. We're lacking part of our Mishnah, and let's actually add parts of the Mishnah. Remember, many times you had a Mishnah that for singing purposes, they would skip out part of the Mishnah. Singing purposes means that the Mishnah was always sung. All the Mishnah was songs. How do you remember? I don't know if you ever realized. Try to remember Pasuk. It's very difficult to remember Pasuk. Remember it as a song, and you'll remember the Pasuk. So who used songs? So the Tanaim, the way that they used to learn Mishnayot was singing. For example, we teach Pirkei Avot to our children. How the children they learn it still singing. Everything's songs. So now there's a problem. It doesn't always fit in the tune. So if it doesn't fit in the tune, what do? They would cut out little pieces, or they would just, have it. So that's the explanation, right? Because that's the Tfilat Yisrael explaining this in Mishnah. He says, what does that mean? Say, well, you're lacking part of the Mishnah. Like, how do you lack part of the Mishnah? Like, saying what? And you were talking like purposely, they skipped it out. Like, what's going on? Is the answer? The answer is that they used to learn it as a song, and if they wouldn't mix in the song, so then they used to skip it out. So since they used to skip it out, so then it makes sense. Huh? Why is it dangerous? No, so that's what I'm saying. Again, at the end of the night, remember, Torah Shabbat was always Torah Shabbat. They always knew about it. Until they saw it was impossible. And they said, that's it. So once it became impossible, they stopped. But right at the beginning, it was all song. That's what they had it. From generation to generation, this is the way they remembered it. This is the way that they had it. So he says it like this. There's 5 tams, and we already brought down the 5 tams. V'im if they become muad, so you have to add these words. V'im muadu, chameshtan muadim. So then these 5 become muad. Meaning, when we learned it on Mishnah that there's 5 tams and 5 muads, it's 5 tams that become 5 muads once they get the warnings and everything. The shem v'regel, now you have shem v'regel, muadim mitchilatan. What? It's not 10. It's the same 5. One more time. The 5, exactly 5 times it became 1. Okay? And then he says, the shem v'regel muadim mitchilatan. You know, shem v'regel that become 1 from the beginning. V'zeu muad, and this is the shor muad we talked about. Okay? Which means that this is, right, the mashamanu which we said before, and v'im muadu chamisha muatan, that's the shor muad which is written in the Torah. The shor mazik, Bishut Nizak, but Shor Mazik, which is going to be Bishut Nizak, is a machloket Rabbi Rabbanan. Is a machloket between the Bitarfon and the rabbis. Okay? So he comes and he says, so then that's the machloket between them. Again, one more time. Does, according to the machloket between the Bitarfon and the rabbis, do we say, that means our entire Mishnah Be'emet is according to the rabbis, that Shor Mazik, Bishut Nizak has nothing to do with what we spoke about beforehand. But the Tana is coming to teach you that there's a machloket between the Chachamim and the Bitarfon, as we already said in the second pen. Okay? Now he says, V'yesh muadim achrim ka'etzebel. Now there's other muads that are always muads. What are those? Remember, he said the wolf, the lion, the bear, the bardalas, the leopard, and the nahash. Yeah, the serpent. Okay?
Only one of these? Then
No, all of them. All these animals, doesn't matter what. These animals automatically are mu'ad. If you have a lion, you can't say, listen, I thought that I had a lion. No. Muad from the beginning. Okay, yes, obviously. But I'm saying it's your pet. Okay, so Tanya Mihafi also bring this in Braita. Chamisha tamimim v'mi'uadu chamisha muadim b'shem rei muadim b'klim zehu shor muad. Right? V'shor mazik. Right? V'shut nizak. L'machlok Rabbi Tefon Rabbi Rabbanan. V'yesh muadim achrim k'etzevelu. Hazeh v'ari v'adov v'anameh v'vedaz v'nachash. Which means, when we just said Tanya Mihafi, we're bringing a proof from a Braita that which we just said now, that this is the chasur nechser avachitani, that this is the way how you read the Mishnah, is exactly what's written in the Braita. There's 5 times that they become muad, meaning that if you make them muad, they become 5 muads, and then you have regel and shen that are muad from the beginning. That is shora muad. It means when we talk about shora muad, we're not talking about keren, we're talking about regel and shen. Then you have shora madim b'shut nizak, the machloka between Bitafon and Rabbanan, and then you have muadim acherim, which is what? That they're always muad. What is that? The lion, the wolf, the this, the nachash, all these animals. Okay? Fine. They put that. And therefore, according to that, it comes up. That's the way that we're supposed to read our Mishnah. Okay? Fine. Next, says the Gemara, Ika deramu lehu mirma. There are some people that they ask it like a stira, like a contradiction. Right? What does that mean exactly? Tzran, we learned in the Mishnah. Chamisha tamim v'chamisha muadim. We said there are 5 times and 5 muads. The 2 leka, what? There's nothing else. The Ika, what we have, we have these animals. The answer, Ravina says, we're lacking part of the Mishnah. This is the way we have to have it. There's 5 tams, and if they become muad, they become 5 muads. Right? The shem v'regel or muadim from the beginning. Right? V'zeu shor muad, that is shor muad. The shor mazik v'shut nizak is machloka v'tafon v'rabanan. V'yesh muadim achrim k'etzem ba'elu. And there's going to be other ones, which is going to be which means that according to this, they did not have the gisa of the seif of our Mishnah. Meaning they didn't have this of the other animals, the wild animals, of the wolf and the lion. They didn't have it in the Mishnah. So they asked it like a stida, only 5 months. There's much more ones. Remember, you're right. This is the way you're supposed to have it. Okay? Fine. 2 dogs. Amar Bilazar. Says Bilazar. Lo shanu, when we just said below the boats, we're talking about, right, that a behemah is not muad from the beginning, not to gore or not to kick or not to jump on utensils and so on and so forth. Meaning, an animal is muad from the beginning to eat because that's what it knows. So it's going to walk by and it's going to eat. Or when it walks, it's not going to look that you have your, I don't know what they're on the bottom and then you're going to break it. It's walking. It's like, get out of my way. So it's not going to now. But goring and other things, it does have its mind, meaning it knows its story. So it's not going to be a muad from the beginning. So it says, we're talking about when it's talking about big things, that it's not normal to jump upon big things. But if it's going to be small little tiny things, it's a toladav regel, it's okay, it's normal. Which means if it comes and it just lies down, all of a sudden breaks small little tiny things, the owner is patur because technically speaking, obviously it's going to be Rishut Nizak, it's going to be Chayav, because this is something which is normal. Okay? And therefore, if you put it in the Rishut Rabbi, what do you want? Okay? So, Lema Misayeli, we're going to bring a proof to this. HaBe'ema muad le'alech kedarkam. We always said Be'ema is muad to walk normally. Ul shaber, and to destroy utensils. Ul ma'ech et ha'adam et ha'be'ema v'tekelim. Even if with his body, he'll come and he'll crush even whether it's a human being, an animal, or kelim. Which means the Gemara understands that lema'ech means like revitza. which means, and therefore our Mishnah, which we said that a Be'emah is not muad before Kelim, obviously this is coming to teach you that we have to differentiate between Kelim Gdolim and Kelim Ktanim. Meaning, Kelim Ktanim, it's normal even if it's going to lie down on top of small utensils. Because Kelim Gdolim, it's not normal, and then it's not muad from the beginning. So says the Gemara, right? This is not actually a proof. You one more time. We said in our Mishnah that it's not muad from the beginning, lirbots, right? To jump on top of utensils. Comes Rabbi Elazar and he says, no. There's a big difference. Big utensils, small utensils. It's not normal on big utensils, but on small utensils it is normal. Says the Gemara. We have a proof to that. A Braita. The Braita says says the Gemara, it's not a proof from that Braita. Why? Maybe when it's going, right, and it's going and there's going to be on the side, then it's going to be muad derech hilucha, right, to like crush them against the wall, whatever it is, and therefore it's a tulda regel. But to actually like fall on top of them, even in killing tanim, right, meaning that it's going to choose a place where it's going to lie down in a good place. It's not just going to, plop down some. Okay? Ika down. There are those that say, Amar Bilaz, says Bilaz, don't tell me that it's pachim dolim, that it's not normal. Aval pachim ktanim orchehu, but pachim ktanim, which is normal. Now all of a sudden remember, whenever you have an ika down, what it does is it switches, whether many times the gisa or the opinion. All of a sudden, we're switching the entire opinion of Rabbi Elazar. One more time. At the beginning, we said in the Mishnah that there does not exist to be a muad for rebitza, which means whether for goring, for pushing with the body, or for crushing, which means falling on top of it. That was our Mishnah. Rabbi Elazar comes at the beginning and he says that it's not going to be normal for big ones, but small ones it is normal. And then we wanted to bring a proof, but we disproved that proof. He said it's not a proof, maybe it was minatzah. Now says the Gemara ikadam. What is ikadam? The exact opposite. Says Rabbi Elazar, don't tell me we're talking about big ones because it's not normal, but small ones it is normal and it's told regel. But even small ones, it's not normal, and therefore the be'emah is not muad, whether to bring big or small. So it's the exact opposite of what we said at the beginning. This is the ikadam. Okay, that's why it starts off. Ikadam. Ikadam means there's a girsah cheret. There's another version in Rabbi Elazar. So says the Gemara, according to this version, we're not going to ask the question, not bring a proof from this Braita, right? Where it says the Braita meets me, we're going to ask the question. The Gemara understood that the Braita is talking about that it's going to crush, whether it's Adam, Behema, or Kelim. That's Mifurash in the Braita. There's going to be Kelim, which the Behema is going to be Muad. So it's a question. How can Bilazar come and say that the Behema is not Muad, Lirbot al Shum Kelim, whether it's Gadol or Katan? Here it says that he is Muad. Right? That's what it says here. He's one for kelim. And we're talking about, right, this thing of the boats. So I answer the Gemara, I'm going to be Elazar, says Elazar the same answer. Dilma minatzad, we're talking about that he did it on the side, meaning with the side of his body. And therefore he was like crushing the knee like this. Many times you're walking and you didn't realize it, you're too close to the wall. And then you bump into the guy, into the wall, basically. So same thing. The BMI is going. It's not plopping it. It's by the side. And that's how he's going to come. He's going to break it. Okay? Some people ask it as a question. Sanan, you just told me right? It's not a question. So now here, it's not an ikadam. Here we brought two different versions, correct? The first version, that there was a difference between dolim and ktanim. Second version, there's no difference between ktanim and dolim. Now the Gemara says some people, right? And so this is not a ikadam that was saying. Some people they come and they had a version that it was like a question and an answer. Meaning they asked the question. They said, in our Mishnah, you just told me that it's not muad. And over here, there's a Braita that says that they're going to be muad. Yeah? So answers the Gemara, there's a difference between Pachim Gdolim and Ktanim. Says the Gemara, we're talking about right now the Ze'ev and the Ari, the dog, and all these things. My bardex. So yesterday we said we were going to explain what is bardex today. So what is the bardex? Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda, nafreza. It's a nafreza. So says the Gemara, my nafreza. What is nafreza? Amar Rabbi Yosef says Rabbi Yosef, it's an apa. Yeah, what is an apa? So the Gemara we're going to say later on, it's a tzavua. Tzavua is brought down, gets ruin, right? So basically, he's going to explain over here what exactly is this, right? Apa, there's many different things, right? That they come and they say boesh. There's many. There's a small little tiny, it's a small little tiny thing over here, but the different opinions. I don't know how you translate it there in English. A viper. Okay, it's interesting. Not the right. No, but the last is a weasel, but the last is an aprazan, the aprazan is an apa.
It says two different expressions. There's one that is a weasel, and the one where it says
a viper. Okay, very good. Mikveh. So we're going to ask the following question. Rabbi Meir comes and he says, Afat Tzavoa, right? The Tzavoa is also going to be a muad from the beginning. Rabbi Lazar comes and he says, Afanachash, right? So too is a nachash. So says the Gemara, Yosef says, Tzavoa zoapa. The Tzavoa is the apa. Okay, so what does that mean? It's the chaya, which is called the apa. Okay, so says the Gemara, like a question. He comes and he says, right? It's not a question. He comes and he says, why? He says, Kan b'tzavua zachar. Here we're talking about a tzavua zachar, right? V'kan b'tzavua nekeva. And one is talking about a nekeva, which means one of them is talking about bardilas, which is a zachar and nekeva, a male and a female. Titanias we learned in a braita. Tzavua zachar v'achar sheva shanim nasa taleh. Do you know that tzavua zachar after 7 years, it becomes an ataleh? Yeah, like okay. Usually we translate ataleh as a bat. So here it just says that tzavua zachar nasa nekeva. That's Yerusha. Look how interesting this is. You have an animal that afterwards becomes a nekeva. It becomes an ataleh. Ataleh, after 7 years, becomes an arpad. Another type of ataleh. Arpad, I don't know if you do have the English actual words, just let me know. Yeah? No? Okay. Arpad. Yeah? So you have the tzavua zachar, and the tzavua nekeva. It's a type of bat. Yeah, the same thing that happened. Tzavua zachar after 7 years is going to become an atalef, and atalef after 7 years is going to become an arpad, and arpad after 7 years is going to become a kamosh, right? And the kimosh, and the kimosh after 7 years is going to become a choach. It's mentioned in Yeshaya. Types of birds. Of what?
thorn.
Thorn. Thorn is a plant. Okay. Okay. And lachar sheva shanim, and after 7 years it becomes a shed. Okay. A good transformation, no? Fine.
So the bat becomes a shed. That's funny.
Yeah. No, first it was something else.
So
First, the bat became another type of a bat. Right. From the other type of bat, and again, these are all 7 years. It's not the automatic transformation, right? It's 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. So you have the tzavua that becomes an atalef. An atalef becomes an arpad, which is another type of a bat. The arpad becomes a kimosh becomes a choach, and the choach becomes a shed. But how many years is that? 42 years. It's 42 years. Yeah, track it. Fine. Shidro shel adam. Do you know that the spine of a human being after 7 years becomes a snake? One of these words, only if it didn't bow down by mudim. So if you have that a person did not bow down properly by mudim, therefore there's a chut of the spinal cord, right? Because he's bowing down. But if he doesn't bow down by mudim, so then the spinal cord will become a snake because it's not. It looks like a snake. Yeah. It changes into a snake. Amar more says, Rabbi Meir comes and he said, yeah, afat tzavua, even a tzavua is going to be muad from the beginning. Tetzayin Ubet, 16b. Rabbi Lazar says nachash, also nachash. So from the fact that he had to say af, it's mashma that the other ones are also going to be muad like him. So therefore we're going to ask the stira from Rabbi Lazar, which is the Mishnah. The Hanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Lazar says, Bizman shehem b'nei tarbut and muadim, right? According to Shitat Rabbi Lazar, if you tame a lion or a zev, a wolf, or things like that, they're not going to be muad from the beginning. But the nachash is muad no'olam, right? Even if you train him and you keep him in the thing, Why? Because according to Shtat Rabbi Lazar, the Nachash is the only one which is one leolam, but not the other ones. And the Braita's mashma that it's always one leolam, right? Just like the Nachash, because he said up. When it says up, it means also means something else as well. So this is Stira, Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar just came and said, right, that it's not going to be, and here it says that it is. Okay? So says the Gemara, Tani Nachash. So you're right. We learned Nachash, not Afka Nachash. Because if you say Af, it means other things as well. It's not. It's Nachash. Fine. Next. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel comes and he says, Ari Birshut Rabbi. But by the way, this is actually something incredible because you see from here that you could actually train an animal. I don't know exactly how much because you know the famous thing about the killer whales that they were training them and then actually after went and he killed them. Right? Yes, but it does happen. But okay, so maybe you're going to say it's not muad, but I don't know. But there's something there. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Ari B'Shut Rabim, Taras ve'achal, patur. Taraf ve'achal, chayav. Do you know that when you have an Ari, that he grabs an animal in the Reshut Rabim, okay? If he was Daras ve'achal, which means he didn't kill it, and he ate it alive, he's going to be patur. Right? That means the owners are going to be patur. But if he was taraf, which means that he killed it and then he ate it, he's going to be chayav. So here it says here, derech hari she'eno toref ve'ochel ela dores. Meaning the lion is very interesting. The lion, right, does not kill the animal and then eat it. He eats them alive. Meaning for him, that's when he likes it, when it's alive. If he has to kill it and then eat it, it's not fun. So he eats it when the animal is still alive. Okay? Fresh, exactly. And therefore, right, that's why he comes and he says that there's going to be a difference between patur and chayav. So therefore, if it's daras v'achal, he's patur because it's not normal. He doesn't kill him and eat. But if he's taraf v'achal, he's going to be chayav. Daras v'achal patur, right? Daras v'achal is going to be patur given the orchel midras because it's normal to be dores and be ochel. So Havla Kimo Shachla Perot Virakot, so it's like that it ate Perot and Virakot. Tehavala Shem B'Shutorbim, that it's going to be like Shem B'Shutorbim, it's going to be Patur. Right? Which means this is like the normal, which becomes a Shem. Right? So it's like he's eating fruits. Right? He's eating fruits and vegetables. Therefore Shem B'Shutorbim is going to be Patur. Tara, which is Laborche, which is not normal. Right? So that's it. So says the Gemara, the Meimra, the Trefa Laborche, says what? It never does the Trefa, never Taraf Laborche. Faktiva Yet Toreh. Right? Bede Gorotav. He says it is going to be Toreh. Answers the Gemara, Ishvil Gorotav, which means it does kill it, but for his children. Okay? Which means for himself, he'll eat it alive. But for his young children, right, he's going to come, he's going to be Toreh, and he'll kill them. Okay? In order that that they should have what to eat. For the gur, right? The gurs is the small lions. Okay? Umchanek Lilvotav. Now it says in the pasuk also, right, that it is normal to kill because it's gonna like strangle, right? So says the Gemara the same thing. Bishvil levota for the lavim, right? This is the lavim, right? How do you say the lavim? The lioness, no? Right? Elmaleh teref chorav. He comes and he says, now that he kills, right? Not for other people, but for himself. He says no, bishvil chorav. What is bishvil chorav? It's normal for him to kill in order to hide it, right? But if he wanted to eat immediately, he never kills it. Meaning, if the lion, for example, he finds it, and now he's going to come, so now he'll kill it just to hide it in his thing. Yeah, because he's not going to leave it alive in his thing and run away. So he'll kill it and keep it in his thing. But if we're talking about now, right, that it's for itself, usually we'll only eat it when it's fresh. Umeonota trefa. And he says over here, he's going to be maleh his place with trefa. So again, for the place where he is hiding, the place where he is. Okay? So again, this is like what we just said before. The Tanya, we learned in the Braita, a chaya that comes and goes inside of the chatzar nizak. Right? What happens now if it kills an animal and it's going to eat the flesh? It's going to pay nezik shalem. So when it says here now chaya, right, we know that an ari is also chaya, it's a wild animal. A wild animal is a ari. And so no, it made it into a trefa to leave it over. So says the Gemara, but it says achla, it ate. It ate means that it's eating it now. So answers the Gemara, no, first it killed him because he was going to leave it over. And then after they changed his mind. He said, you know what, you might as well just eat it now. Okay, how do we know that the lion changes his mind? So he says, well, the Shmuel Nami, also Shmuel also, maybe that was the case of Shmuel also. You're right. You have to say like this. You have to put a keinu in the Mishnah, according to this shita. If the lion comes and it's going to tarfalania, which means it kills its animal, kill the animal, to leave it over, or right, it grabs it, it's dores, it puts it down, and then it starts eating it alive. So it's going to pay nezek shalem. Ravina comes and says, Shikam Shmuel, what does Shmuel say that Aviyah Torah B'Shtor is going to be chayav? I bari tarbut, only with a lion that's trained, like a trained lion. According to Rabbi Lazar, he says tlavur. So says the Gemara, if so, afilu darsanim, so you should give me chayav always. Because if you're going to tell me that it's trained, even if it does the normal, which is to grab it and to kill it, not to kill it, sorry, to eat it alive, that also should be like it's like it should be like a tam, because it's not normal, it's trained. Ella b'Rabbi, the Ravina, right? The Ravina, lava Shmuel was not talking about Shmuel. Ella matzniti, meaning when we came and we said for sure Shmuel holds that it's not normal for an animal for a lion to come and to be toref ve'ochen. Remember, toref means it kills and then to eat. Ella matznita, it's going on the Braita. Ki tani matznita bari tarbut. When is the Braita talking about in an ari tarbut, in an ari which is trained? V'aliba de Rabbi Lazar, according to Rabbi Lazar, damar lavor, say that it's not normal. So says the Gemara, Yachi so, right? He comes and he says, right? Yachi so, chetzi nezek by l'shlume. So he says, you pay chetzi nezek. Meaning, if it's something not normal, you pay half. You don't pay full damages. So answers the Gemara, diayed, no, it became a muad. And since it became a muad, you have to pay nezek shalem. Yachi so, my had what do we talk about then? Gabe told the shen. Gabe told the keren by mitzvah. Why are you telling me that it's a toladav shen? Right? Because the Braita says, what is the kitzur Hashem muedet? He says there should be a toladav keren, right? So he says, Kasha, you're right. This is actually going to be a very good question, which means according to this, it actually is a very good question because this should be, meaning if the ari becomes a muad, so then it should become a toladav keren, not a toladav shen, right? Because only by the keren you have a tam and a muad, not by a shen. So he said, you're right. It's a good question. It's a very, very good question. We're talking about Keren, which is when. Okay. Mishnah Tetzayin Mubet. Mishnah on 16b. Says the Mishnah. Ma ben shor tam, right? Ma ben tam lemuad. What is the difference between a tam and a muad? Obviously, we're talking about a shor. So what is the difference between a tam muad, right? The shor tam and the shor muad. So says the Gemara, the tam is always going to be b'chetzi nezek. It's always be gufo, which means it will never pay more than that. And the muad will pay nezek shalem aliyah from the aliyah. And it pays nezek shalem, the full damage. Even from the aliyah, which means even if it's going to be worth more than the value of the shore, it has to pay it. Says the Gemara, my aliyah, what does it mean now, the aliyah? Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, b'me'uleh shebenechasam. We're talking about the best of the nechasim. Okay, that's the me'uleh shebenechasam. Right, the edit. Yeah? So he comes and he says, וכן הוא אומר, לא עושה את דברי הימים, וישכב חזקיהו עם אבותיו יקבלו במעלה קברי בני דוד. Right? So it says here, Chizkiyahu came and he slept with his forefathers, and they buried him, Ma'ale Kivrei Bnei David, right? Of Bnei David. Remember that this is a pasuk in Divrei Yamim, right? When you get to Ketuvim, it becomes more Maleh. More Maleh means that when you start writing names, they would write it with extra, we have like the vowels. So David is always Dalvav Dalet. But once it's in Ketuvim, it's Dalvav Yod Dalet, right? Because it explains it more, like it writes it out. Okay, ואמר רבי אלעזר, says רבי אלעזר, במעלה קברי בני דוד אצל המעולים שבמשפחה, meaning from the best of the family. Right? You know who is that? David and Shlomo. From David and Shlomo. Okay, so he comes and he says, by David and Shlomo, ויקברו בקבורותיו אשר קרא לו בעיר דוד וישכבו במשכן אשר מילא בשמים וזנים. מהי בשמים וזנים? So he comes and he says like this. It says, right? Be'ir David. So he went, and this is talking about now Asa. So after the Melech Yehuda, he came and they buried him in the burial plot that he buried for himself, that he dug for himself. And he did David. What does it mean Besamim Uznim? Says Bilazar Amar, Zine Zine, Minim Minim, right, of Besamim. Meaning they put a lot of Besamim over there. Okay? Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani Amar Besamim, Shekol HaMe'areach Mahem Ba Lidei Zima. There's Besamim because it's like the Lashon of Znut, meaning perfume or something which is very, cologne, which is going to cause it. Okay? Ki Charu Shucha. Right? They went and they bought, this is a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, they dug a bore, Lelochdeni Upachim, Tamnu L'Reglai. What is Charu Shucha? Bilazar says, that they suspected him on Azonah. Right? Or even on the Neshetish. So what does that mean? Yirmiyahu, right? Yirmiyahu was a Kohen. And Azonah is a suit for a Kohen, obviously. It says, so therefore, they went and they were Motzi La'adana, that he was Baal Zonah. Right? That's what it means. Okay? And other people say, no. So Yuba Aleshetish. So says the Gemara, and now this is Yirmiyahu. So says the Gemara, I understand according to the Mandamar Shechashua Mizona, Hainu Diftiv Kishucha Muka Zona, meaning they use the same terminology of Shucha Amuka, which is like basically going deep, which is talking about Znut of Zona. But according to the Mandamar Shechashua Yeshetish, my Shucha, what does it mean now Shucha? What is the Kavanah? They're suspecting him of an Eshetish. Now remember, all this is coming because of the same thing of Mile Besamim Uznim, right? To do with the Besamim Uznim. So we're talking about now the Shucha, and we're talking about now that they suspected him of going, whether it's with a Zonah or an Eshetish. So says the Gemara, Atu Eshetish Nafka Mikazona. Eshetish is like a Zonah, right? Why? Eshetish is also a Zonah, right? She's a Zonah. Okay? So Bishra Mandamar, it's good according to the Mandamar that says Chashtu Eshetish. Hainu Diftiv, that's what it means in the Pasuk, V'atashem Yadata Kol Atzatam Alayla Mamet. So he comes and says, Yirmiyah, he says, remember, these are the enemies of Yirmiyahu. So Yirmiyahu, many times a person has an enemy. And the enemies come and they start saying a whole bunch of crazy things about him, just put him down, right? And everyone has that. The higher that you get, the bigger, the more enemies that you have. So he comes and he says, he says, you know that they wanted to come and they wanted to kill me. Now, if it's an Eshetish, that's a death penalty. And therefore they wanted to kill me. But according to the man that they suspected him of Zonah, what does it mean, the Mavet? There's no Mavet. Right? At the end of the day, if he's going to go with the Zonah Pruya, he's not Chayav Mitat. So therefore, what does it mean now when he says in the Pasuk, Hashem, you knew all their plans against me for death. So no death. So says the Gemara, Shishlechu leber tit. Right? He's talking about the case where they threw him into a pit of what? Mire. Okay, mire. I would have said clay. One of these pits of clay and all these things. So basically, it says over here, he said that they was going to fall in the hands of the Babylonians, and therefore that anybody that goes out will be saved and will live. So because of that, they went and they told the Seramelech Tzidkiyahu went and they said that he was like, making them, weak. So they wanted to kill him. So they went and they threw him into a thing, right, into this teat, in this more teat, and they left him there to die from death, from hunger. And what happened was, at the end, Tzidkiyahu Melech went and he told them to take him out. Right? But this is during the time of the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash. That's the Rabbi? Yeah, Rabbi. So he didn't die. No, they put him in the pit to kill him. But at the end, they brought him back up and they didn't kill him. So that Rabbi comes and he says, what does it mean in Pasuk? Right? That there's going to be like stumbling blocks in front of you during the time of anger, of wrath. You're going to do. Even during the time that they do tzedakah, do you know? This is an incredible concept. This is the end of that pasuk. That means even when people come and they want to do tzedakah, Yirmiyahu comes and he says, make sure they don't get reward. How are they not going to get reward? They don't get reward. They're going to be people that they're not supposed to get tzedakah. They're not deserving tzedakah. So you have these cheaters, right? That they come, they start collecting tzedakah. So now you're going to give them tzedakah. So the fact that you gave them the tzedakah, you're not going to get reward. You're not going to get reward. That's what he prayed. Okay? So here he says, right? That's what Yirmiyahu prayed. And these people, they wanted to kill him. So he comes and he says, you know what? But now remember, when you do tzedakah tatil mimavet. So he comes and he prays to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that even when they give tzedakah, it's not real tzedakah. And by not giving real tzedakah, they don't get reward, and therefore they're going to die. That's what he went and he prayed. Okay? There's also brought down about Batra over there. There's a whole thing over there. What does that mean? Because we thought that, Davka, if it's not a boom, but if you leave the tzedakah, it's only coming up for tzedakah. There's a whole thing here. In the footnotes, you've got tons of what to speak about. Okay? Fine. Vechavod, yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says, Vechavod asulo bemoto. What does that mean, kavod asulo bemoto? Melamed sheoshivo yeshiva al kibro. They went and they put, that's the kavod that a person does when a person passes away. What's the kavod? They put talmidim that they're going to be learning Torah by the kever. That's what they're going to do. Yeah? The kli ibar binatan v'rabbanan. It's a machlok between the binatan and rabbanan. Right? That one of them comes and he said, shlosha for 3 days, and one of them says for 7 days, Rabbi not something to say for 30 days, which means how long did they leave the yeshiva there? So there's a machlok of 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days, and that's the kavod that they do afterwards. So this is talking about again the Kurab Chizkiyahu Melech, that after they buried him, the burial plot beside David and Shlomo, they came and they gave him a very big kavod. What is the big kavod? Zamir yeshiva by his kever. Okay,